students. This is a class for BA Part 3 and we will be doing an essay by J.B. Priestley on doing nothing. As you see, the title is very interesting. J.B. Priestley is one of the very renowned authors in England. His full name was John Boynton Priestley. He served in World War I and after the completion of World War I, he started writing for periodicals and he edited many books. He became very famous with the two novels that he wrote, The Good Companions, which he wrote in 1929, and Angel Pavement, which he wrote in 1930. He was a versatile writer. He wrote essays, novels, dramas, and critical books. And his prose style is characterized by ease, clarity, urbanity, and intelligence. His essays sparkle with wit and humor, and he writes in a colloquial manner. Colloquial means in a conversational manner. His essay on doing nothing is taken from his book Open House. He has written a humorous defense of idleness. It's a personal and an interesting essay for the sake of light-hearted humor, just to enjoy and to create humor. Let us see the summary of the essay. The author was actually staying with a friend at his cottage among the Yorkshire Fells, 10 miles away from the railway station. The weather was warm. Both the friends enjoyed the weather. They went through the moorland daily and climbed upon a hill 2,000 feet above the sea level. They spent the long golden afternoons lying on their backs doing nothing. The place was calm and quiet, and the soft velvety grass on a patch tempted them just to relax. Their minds became calm and peaceful in such natural surroundings. There were no noise except that of the curlew. It was not right to say that the writer and his friend did absolutely nothing, because they smoked a lot of tobacco, ate sandwiches, and little sticks of chocolates and drank from the cold stream. They also made a remark or two now and then, lying there. Except this, they came as a close to do nothing as it was possible for two friends. They made no plans, no ideas came into their minds, and their minds they kept empty. On their coming down in cheerful and happy mood, healthier than ever, the author read in a paper that one, Mr. Selfridge, had denounced them, calling their indolence as an act of sin. Indolence was considered an act of sin. The author say that Mr. Selfridge is wrong in his judgment. It did not become clear to the author whether Mr. Selfridge was lecturing to the crowd of carefree holiday makers like him, or he was talking to the serious and reserved kind of persons like shopkeepers and businessmen. But surely he remarked that he hated idleness the most. He said that he believed that idleness is the greatest sin. It was, however, quite certain that his remarks were meant for those who wasted their times like author. The author forgot the grounds on which his blame and objections were based. He does not care to bring them to the memory again, as it would be a mere waste of time. In his lecture, Mr. Selfridge evaded to mention their names, but it was wholly true that his direct attack was on idleness, but indirectly he meant the author and his friend who were wasting their time like a king lying flat on the back on the moor. The author says that lying on the moor and doing nothing was so pleasant that it would have pleased Mr. Selfridge also if he had seen him and his friend enjoying in this manner. Mr. Selfridge was narrow minded, he believes. He closed his eyes on the bright side of the lying on the moor doing nothing. The author says that a prejudiced and known and one sided view is not only wrong but harmful also. The author says that all the evil in this world is brought about by people who are always up and doing. This is very remarkable when he says that they do not know when they ought to be up and nor what they ought to be doing. The world is in a muddle, but it is not laziness that has brought it to such a pass. It is not the active virtues that it lacks, but the passive ones. The devil is the most active creature in the world, and he does not sit idle even for a minute. He cannot allow laziness. He is always persuading people to be up and doing some mischief or another. The result is that the world is lacking in kindness and steady thought. It was the activity of the emperors, kings, statesmen, journals, and journalists that brought about the First World War in 1914. Similarly, if these people, instead of going to Versailles, had taken a fortnight off doing nothing, they would have gone to their peace conferences and come back without a blame put on them. If half the politicians of the world give up their activity and take to idleness for a short time, we shall be much better off than before. The Americans hate laziness and lead a life of activity. The result of this is that the country has become very prosperous, but the condition of the people is going from bad to worse. They are criticized by the great writers. The great American writers have not hesitated to praise idleness, and they have taken to doing nothing and praising themselves for doing so. So, in this manner, he praises idleness in this essay. The author says that Thoreau, the great natural philosopher of America, without having the capacity for idling and doing nothing, would be considered a conceited fellow. If Walt Whitman, the great American poet, gives up his habit of idling about with his hands in his pocket, he would be merely an ass. A man must possess power of imagination if he wants to enjoy the pleasures of doing nothing. Doing nothing does not mean that one is relieved from energy. A man must be a sincere poet so that he can wander into dreamland when he settles down to do nothing. Priestley was that. Priestley says that Wordsworth knew the value of doing nothing. He always loved idling about and staring at nature. If he were alive today, he would have preached to the world the value of doing nothing, and he would be right. You have read the poem, The World is Too Much with Us, and in that poem, Wordsworth rightly says, when we are talking about this on doing nothing, Wordsworth rightly says that watching nature makes you rich. So, and the worldliness should not overpower us. That is what he says in his poem, The World is Too Much with Us. So, let us close this essay on this note. Thank you very much.